And we're live. Welcome to this impromptu live stream with me and Binyamin. We were talking over Messenger, and it seemed like an interesting topic to just move live for whoever cares to participate. Before we kick off, though, I want to thank my patrons. If I can find the list of them. New patron Nicholas and Leah, Carlitos, Alicia, Jordan, Jay, Mary J, Ashley, Kaus, April, and Harold. Thank you for your patronage.
Cool. It's quite a list you got going. Good job.
It is. Thank you. 11. I hover around 11. I lose some, and then I pick some up, and it works. Yeah. It helps, it helps cover the little odds and ends.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Especially since we've got starting tomorrow here in Kansas City, face masks are mandatory in public.
In public, yeah.
Yeah. So
what about at work?
I work away from the public, and the owner of my company is very conservative politically, and it's not gonna fuck with me at work. But I think that from now on, all my patron dollars need to go to my bail fund, because I'm not playing that fucking game.
Yeah.
So
at my work today, they didn't come into my building, but at the other building, they the cops came and they just gave a ticket to everybody not wearing a mask.
Really?
Yeah. No one invited them. They just walked.
Yeah. Where was that?
Here in Israel.
Work?
Yeah, in Israel, yeah.
See, and that shit's, at least here, it's not legal. And from what I understand about Israeli law, it's pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty similar.
Like, they should have to be invited in or something, shouldn't they?
I don't know, man. I'm not a lawyer, but I would, like, based on morality, yeah, for sure.
So what I do every time I interact with the cops at all is I just throw on my phone recorder, and I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't tell them, and I just do audio, and I just lock the screen and set it there so that all the audio is picked up. I've actually still got an open case where I'm the defendant, and I'm going to trial with it because
wow.
I think I may have told you about it. What they did is some cops rolled up and saw me and some friends standing out in a parking lot at an apartment complex. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a seedy one, but it's right by where I live.
Right.
And they just wanted to search us. So they said, "You guys are trespassing in a parking lot."
All right.
So I recorded the whole thing, and I've had to spend 2 days off work now going in to get a court date set, because I'm taking it to trial. And that's the racket, is they want you to not go to trial.
Right. Are you getting like a legal defendant or something?
No.
Or your own lawyer?
I'll represent myself. I've got the whole thing recorded. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And you don't need a lawyer. I mean, really, if you've got kind of half a brain and a little bit of confidence in a recording of the event, I looked at the statute I'm accused of violating. I know that I didn't. There's a bazillion ways that I did not violate it.
Yeah.
And I'll go to court. Unfortunately, I mean, they got their way. They got to search 3 grown-ass men, and one of us had drugs. So he was looking at 9 years, but I think that he's going to probably get a plea deal for 3.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's the modern slavery.
What about like the prosecutor and stuff? You can't just show them the recording and be like, "Hey, what do you guys actually have?"
I have to go to trial. I have to go to trial for it.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to submit it before trial so that they know what you have?
They haven't asked me for anything. I was scheduled to go to trial like 2 days after lockdown kicked in for coronavirus. So what they did with all their municipal cases is they just postponed them all indefinitely and said, we'll get in touch with you. They haven't gotten in touch with me. And I went and registered, because I am I'm a registered drug offender. They register drug offenders and violent offenders and sex offenders where I'm at. So I've got to register as a drug offender. Right. So I did go in and register, and they didn't arrest me like, hey, you missed your court date. So.
Right. Well,
but I suggest that's my blanket advice to everybody is just always record the audio of any police interaction because not all cops are dickheads, but enough of them are that.
And they have a recording anyways, so I mean, you're not
gonna
but have you ever tried trouble than you already are.
I've tried to get the. I mean, by the time that
you won't get it.
Yeah, you won't get it. Or if you do, it'll malfunction. It's shocking how much cops say that their equipment malfunctioned.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
so like if you the fact that your friend had drugs on him and you're a registered drug offender or whatever, is that like a violation of what your agreement was? No.
No, it probably would be if I was still on probation, but I'm not.
Right.
But no, the only thing violated, well, I guess he violated drug laws, but they violated our Fourth Amendment rights, really.
Right.
So my shit will get thrown out. And really my purpose in doing that is my case was scheduled to go before his sentencing. And I wanted my shit to help him out, which is really why I'm taking 3 days off work to go deal with this bullshit. But he's been in county since then. This was like 6 months ago. So
he's still locked up.
Yeah, he's still locked up. And I talk to him every now and then because since what the prisons are doing here is since coronavirus kicked in, they've discontinued all visitation. And in exchange for that, what they say is, well, we'll give you free calls. And in reality, that works out. The phone systems end up being down, just all sorts of shit. But he does call me every now and then, mostly to see if I'll put some money on his books so that.
Yeah. So you can buy stuff in there. Like, okay, so how much drugs did he have on him?
Like a tiny amount. He probably had like a bowl of dope. It wasn't pot.
Yeah.
But he's got priors. He's got priors, and in Kansas, any amount of dope is it's a felony.
Dope is like heroin or
meth.
Meth, okay.
Heroin, meth, and crack are all considered instant felonies for any amount.
Right.
And then if you've got more than an eighth, it's considered presumptive intent to distribute. So that's why I register as a drug offender, because I was convicted for distribution. So that's sort of how
meth it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got one out of him, but they're not going to get my money.
Right. Yeah. You got to be careful, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm aware of how things are. That's just the nature of the beast. And it was worse when I lived down there because I lived in the hood, and I'm too white for that part of town, really. So seeing me in my car, which is a sedan, I look like somebody who came down from the burbs to get drugs. That's what they thought it was. But that's where I lived.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But this is sort of in line with what we were talking about before we started.
Yeah, it is actually. But that really sucks. I'm sorry to hear your friend's going through that. 6 months. That's crazy.
Oh, you know what? He's gonna get lucky. A lot of people have gone away a lot longer for a lot less. He'll probably end up doing a year and then getting probation.
Okay. Yeah.
7 of 9. Yes, I'm in Kansas City, Kansas. Arkansas is not much better than Kansas. Hi, Katie. So how you want to roll into it? We were talking about George Floyd.
Yeah, I was just asking you about it because, like, I'm not over there, so I don't really know everything that's going on. But like, there's a whole bunch of, it's just blowing up even bigger from what I'm seeing. I don't know if it's calming down now or what.
So, what Ben sent me earlier that started off this conversation is a thing about how George Floyd had been arrested for basically kidnapping a pregnant woman. It was like an armed robbery thing, and he asked if that was true. And to the best of my knowledge, it is. I've heard it a bunch of places.
Mhm.
I have never heard anywhere dispute it.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked into it because ultimately, at the end of the day, the specifics of that don't matter to me because George Floyd is being used to push an agenda.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
But I
so
mean, like, he shouldn't have been killed, obviously.
he shouldn't have been killed for sure. Absolutely, he should not have been killed. And that's the sticky part of this whole situation is trying to unravel the different threads, because police abuse of power and brutality is for sure a problem. George Floyd should not have been killed. That said, Black Lives Matter is the institution is a whole different problem. And what fucks people up is people aren't separating the sentiment from the institution, which is super important with Black Lives Matter, because the sentiment, of course, is correct. The institution is race baiting and antagonizing racial conflict for its own gain.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, what you were showing me is that the institution benefits from racism and benefits from racial crimes. It gets donations because of that. So then it would have an interest to keep propagating this idea that racism is real, even though it probably is, just maybe not to the extent that they're claiming. And then keep propagating, like, making bigger deals out of racial crimes or like just possible discriminations. Yeah.
So if you go to and the screenshot I sent him is if you go to Black Lives Matter's website, the official Black Lives Matter, and you click donate, it takes you to Act Blue is the company, and Act Blue is a contributor to Democratic candidates. Where'd that go? The top expenditures. Let's see. When you click to donate to Black Lives Matter, it takes you to Act Blue. If donated money goes unclaimed, Act Blue disperses the money however they want. These are their top expenditures so far in 2020. Bernie Sanders, Biden for president, Elizabeth Warren, Pete for America, which I don't know what that is, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Amy for America, Friends of Andrew Yang, Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, Democratic National Committee, Amy McGarth.
Right.
So it's all straight Democrat funding, and the funny thing about the Democrats is, despite their reputation for being the peace-loving party, if you look historically, they're anything but. I mean, they're the party of the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, that's interesting. But okay, so here's how it might make sense to do that, right? So, like, Black Lives Matter does have an agenda, right? They want to push some kind of agenda, and it makes sense that they would be donating to political parties in order to push that agenda, to, like, gain favor, sort of thing. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, the fact that now Democrats are benefiting from this will only make them want to create more racial events and situations, I guess.
Yeah, it's useful as long as you can pick at that scab and get people riled up. You can push them in directions, and the Democrats do that way better than the Republicans, for sure. Which I don't know that that's a compliment, because it's a sleazy tactic. And it's interesting hearing some things, because there's interviews with Lil Wayne, and who's the dude who played God? Black guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Morgan
Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. There you go.
Yeah, and if I can find that video compilation that I'm thinking of, I'll drop it in the comments or the description box below this video. But they're all saying, I've never experienced racism. There is no racism. And the weird thing, and I think that I've got kind of a unique perspective since I'm not black, but I have been in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, you were saying that there's institutional racism and not really racism.
There is institutional racism, and you can see it in the statistics. But it's not white people hating black people. It's black people being at a more in a more vulnerable position. A cop can get away with more with a black person, and what it is it's abuse of power. And black people just so happen to, well, not just so happen, they're in a position where they can't defend themselves as much. So the legendary white supremacist, in my experience, is not a thing. I'm 33 fucking years old. I live in the middle of the country, and I've never been invited to a Klan meeting or a rally or nothing. Like, I really don't think that white people hating black people is a thing, nearly to the extent it's getting covered. What is a thing is institutions and structures that have racist outcomes, like the war on drugs. The war on drugs is a huge one. If we want to get rid of a racist institution, we need to get rid of the war on drugs.
But like that said, there are racist people. Like, it's not like it doesn't exist.
Sure, there are racist people,
but it's just not the majority of people. It's like fringe.
But you can't address an institution at the level of one person's assholishness. You know what I mean? And the police aren't racist. So that line that the police are racist, okay, I can see that, but it misses
they're part of the institution. Yeah.
It misses the point, right? Which is that the police are
the individual cops. Yeah.
The individual cop is normally not racist. But they do, there's a demand. If you get rid of the demand for policing, if you get rid of the war on drugs, then you get rid of the demand for racially slanted arrests.
Well, like, okay, so your whole situation where the cops just came and tried to bust you guys.
Right.
Why would they do that? Like, why would they go and do that if they wouldn't get some kind of reward for it?
It's
like, what is their job?
Because their job is to fight crime. And so a lot of places, Kansas is a great example. It's not just
to make arrests. Maybe it's just to make arrests, to get convictions.
Well, I mean, that's
what it's like here.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Convictions. You want convictions, really. But the police aren't responsible for convictions. The police are responsible for arrests. A cop needs to arrest somebody, and then the prosecutor will put them in a shitbag situation. Like, I was looking at 15 years, and I got 30 months probation because I took the plea deal. And that's the game. Cops make the arrest. The prosecutors absolutely destroy your hope of freedom if you fight them, and so you take the deal.
But they're actually going out looking for people to arrest. Like, they're trying to trip people up.
Yes, they are. And
because
a lot
there's
of
some
ways.
kind of incentive. There has to be an incentive for it. Otherwise, why would they do it?
Sure. For the individual cop, I mean, the cops and all departments say they don't have quotas. But at the end of the day, if you're the cop on the force who hasn't arrested anybody this month, they're going to talk to you. And certain things, drugs are a really easy bust. Person has it on them there. And normally they've got priors. And high people just aren't that smart or crafty. Because if you think about it, if you've got a bag of powder, if you got a little bag of powder and you're getting pulled over, how hard is it to make that powder not available at court? It's not hard. You dump it on the floorboard and pour half a pop onto it and rub it into the carpet of the car, and it's gone. But it's
how did your friend get busted then?
He had some shit in his pocket and he didn't run. I had no idea he had it, truly, or else. I mean, he said run. He let them search him.
Wow.
Yeah, he's one of those people who freezes up when he gets scared, which is a very poor survival instinct, to freeze.
Yeah.
And they searched me. They searched the other guy, who was a black guy, his car. And then they were going to let us go with tickets. And they said, "Oh yeah, can we search you too?" And he just kind of went blank and let him.
Okay, so he was standing there. He saw them search you and the other guy, and he didn't do anything. He just left
He
it in
was
his pocket.
leaning. He was leaning against my car, and me and the other dude were in the other dude's car.
Right.
So they pulled up to the car that me and Cleveland were in because it looked like the white guy was buying drugs off the black guy. But none of that was true. So they shook us down and everything, and we were done. And then when we were going away, they were like, "Oh yeah, you," and turned to Aaron, who was leaning against my car, and said, "Hey, you, can we search you too?" And he let them. And I saw him letting them. I just assumed that because I'd been with him for the past hour or so, I didn't know that he had shit on him, and it was just a little bit of shit. He must have just had a little stash for later or whatever. But yeah, he got fucked.
Yeah.
So. And actually, the guy I'm talking about, the guy who got arrested, I've got a video called "Stupid Sensors Being Stupid" or something. He's the guy in that video.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you shouldn't really do meth either. That's not. But I mean,
you shouldn't do meth. That is correct.
Yeah.
But if you look at a harm reduction, if you look at it from a harm reduction principle, because the bullshit everybody's been sold is that you've got two options: make drugs illegal, or let people do drugs.
Right.
But making drugs illegal doesn't make them not available. It doesn't keep people off drugs. And that's the bullshit people are getting sold. If you look at, and this is sort of has been a pet peeve or a interest of mine for a minute. If you look at the history of the war on drugs, for 40 years, we spent 40 years and $2 billion, and substance abuse has not gone down. Depending on the study you look at, it's either the same as before the war on drugs or greater. What we've done is we've locked up my whole generation, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rough. And then obviously the prisons make money off of it, and
oh yeah,
I'm sure people are making money off of it somewhere. That's got to be one of the reasons.
The prison system is a huge racket, and it's privately owned.
Yeah.
Most of it. Kansas has
Which
started.
means that they're just going to want to be cheaper with their prisoners. They're going to give them worse food and worse conditions.
You should look up, if you're interested, his name's Sean Atwood, and he did 10 years in Arizona State Prison, and his stories are gnarly. But they do it as cheap as possible. And another thing that they do when you have a private prison system is people can go in for a 12-month sentence for a drug crime and end up committing crimes in prison that keep them there forever.
Yeah.
And private prisons are way quicker to hook people into that. Another thing that they do is when you complete your sentence, first of all, there's no such thing in America anywhere as completing your sentence and being off the hook. There's always post-release shit. And that's what gets a lot of people coming back.
Right.
But what they do when you complete your prison sentence is they give you $200 and a bus pass and a bus ride back to the county where your conviction stemmed from. So if you've been in prison for 10 years, you don't have any friends, you don't have any family, you've got nothing but $200. You're going back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have a house, you don't have anything. Yep.
Nope.
Where are you going to sleep? What are you going to eat? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah, they've got to have some kind of reintroduction system.
Yeah. And they don't. And
people like that especially.
The reintroduction systems that people do try to put in place inevitably end up getting hijacked and turned back into more post-release supervision that people can fuck up. I signed up with Kansas Department of Corrections to try to be I don't remember what they call it, but like a sponsor or a big brother sort of thing for people getting out of prison, but they never called me.
Oh,
wow. Probably because my conviction's too recent. But
yeah. Well, if you wanted to keep doing stuff as well, it's a great place to get people. If you wanted to be a big brother to someone and rope them back in.
If you what?
Like if, like, let's say you were in for dealing drugs, and then you get a bunch of people coming out of prison to be a big brother to them. You can keep dealing drugs through them, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Well, that's what 12-step meetings are for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Look up the case of Henry Leon. Oh, is that in Kansas? So this really wasn't what we were talking about. We were talking more about current events and Black Lives Matter and stuff.
What's related? Yeah.
I just got carried away on my soapbox because I am very much opposed to the institutional Black Lives Matter that's going on right now. And it's not because the sentiment is wrong, and it's not because police don't need to be reined in. It's because it's a Trojan horse, and it's hijacking a movement, and it's antagonizing racial tension for its own purpose, which is just to funnel money to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And
so what's the real issue then?
Where?
Well, what's the real issue? What's going on? Like, why does this kind of stuff? Why did George Floyd die, for example? Like, what's the real issue here?
The real issue is qualified immunity. Police can do whatever the fuck they want. We do have a corrupt criminal justice system that's abusive and doesn't solve actual crime. They don't solve the victim crimes. What they do is they catch people slipping up on victimless crimes to generate revenue. And my biggest issue with Black Lives Matter, the institution, is that none of their propositions address the underlying problem, which is there's a demand for arrests, and it's coming from the war on drugs.
Right. Do you think, though, that this whole uproar has maybe caused cops to just be a little bit more afraid of and a little bit more wary on how they act and behave with people, or no, just Black people?
I don't know. I haven't interacted with any cops since this has happened.
Right.
I think it depends on where you're at. I do know that, I don't remember where it was at, but someplace they just struck down an attempt to remove qualified immunity from police, which is a huge source of the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Qualified immunity should have been the first thing to go, not the whole police. You can't get rid of the whole police. Conceptually, that doesn't work for a minute. Like, for a minute at all, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a disingenuous claim. I think anybody who says the police is racist, we need no police, they're not engaging this situation in good faith.
Well, okay. Well, even with this George Floyd thing, it's not like the police were out to look for somebody. They were called, right?
They were called.
So they were called there.
They were called.
So, which is fine. The police went there as they were dispatched, right? They went there lawfully.
Well, do you remember the Eric Garner thing?
About
6 years ago, police killed Eric Garner for selling cigarettes or something, and it was a very similar sort of thing. Cops put him in a chokehold, choked him to death, and he's saying, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe."
Wow.
That was outrageous. That cop got let off.
And it was recorded?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's Eric Garner. I'll type his name down here. If anybody's not familiar with that, it's fucked up. The thing is this isn't a new thing. Police brutality is all over the place, and I follow it on social media. I'm in the police groups and stuff like that. There's tons and tons and tons of proven police murders, brutalities, executing witnesses, raping inmates. This shit happens all the time. The fact that it's getting traction now isn't a coincidence. I also think that the fact that it's getting traction on such a sort of sketchy there's just a lot of dynamics to this one.
Yeah.
Like the fact that George Floyd was a piece of shit.
Okay.
Like there are a lot of incidences of police killing people who aren't assholes. that they could have used.
Right.
I don't pretend. I don't think I know the reason, but I don't know. It seems like it's intended to stoke conflict.
It could have just been an accident. Well, not like really an accident. Like the cop shouldn't have been doing what he did. But I mean, like, it could have been something that just happened. Like it just, I don't know. It might not have had intention behind it. You know what I mean? Like it could have just happened, and it could have been a series of bad events and bad choices and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but just the fact that flames are being fanned and it's being made into such a thing.
And here's the thing: all four cops involved in that have been charged, including a black one and including an Asian one. There's no reason at all to think that this was a racial situation.
Well, that's well, they should be charged for killing no matter who it was, right?
Yeah,
they were all accessory.
I believe that hate crime should be treated differently, because if you kill me, I don't give a fuck what you're thinking. If you kill my girlfriend, I don't give a fuck how you felt about it. Like,
that's right.
Your motivation is not my concern. The problem is you killed somebody.
That's right. Yeah. So, like, you're saying they didn't kill him because he was black. They killed him because they're cops and they're abusing their power.
That's how it looks to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one of the four cops was black. One of the four cops was Asian. There was not a racial slur thrown. There's no, aside from the fact that there's a white cop on a black guy, there was no racial component to the whole situation. Right. And I watched the original video posted to Facebook is 10 minutes long. You know, it's just not there. You have to want to find it.
So the real issue here, what you're saying is just police what they feel like they can do. Maybe a training aspect, maybe
police aren't accountable. Aspect. It's not. You don't have to be trained to know that if you choke somebody for 10 minutes, you might kill them. Yeah. I think saying that we need training or we need diversity training, or I think all that shit sidesteps the fucking issue, which is cops can do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah. And we have a criminal justice system that incentivizes cops to pursue crimes that don't have a victim.
Yeah. Okay, so the I don't know how the police training works over there, but I know police training here, they have this empathy training. They're trained to like get rid of their empathy so that like it doesn't get in the way when they're doing their job. So like people can't ask for like leniency and stuff to the cop. So I wonder if like that kind of stuff might even have like a negative influence on. I don't know if that's how they're getting trained there though.
We don't have that here, and I mean, do your police handle? Because you're a smaller country surrounded by strife internationally. Right. So do your police have to handle like terroristic incidents more than ours?
Yeah. They do, but there's different entities here, right? Okay, so first of all, there's the army that handles like the border issues and like foreign powers sort of thing. But internal issues is like it's either the police or like the Secret Service or whatever. But yeah, they have to handle a lot of that.
Because I would think that getting rid of that stuff is not. I would think that training is harmful, not helpful.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I met some people here. They get stuck in jail just for no reason. Like they can put you in jail here if they suspect you of something, or if like they just don't want you to interfere with their investigation. They can just put you in jail for like 3 days or like a day, and then the judge will like extend your sentence. It's not even a sentence. You're not guilty of anything.
I was in jail the first time I got raided. I was in jail for 3 days. You've got 3 days.
Being charged.
Yeah, I had no charges. They were trying to book me into jail. I had no charges. I had $100,000 bond and no charges, and they were trying to book me in. I wouldn't get booked in. Fuck you. I stayed in the holding cell for 3 fucking days until they brought me in charge.
Right.
Which pissed them off.
Yeah. But I mean, still, like that's so they could do that no matter what. They could just take whoever they want and hold them for 3 days, no questions asked, no reason. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, cops. It's interesting if you spend any time in jail or prison or with convicts, you'll hear a shitload of them saying that they were set up. And
Yeah.
what I learned is it's not wrong. I mean, about just like me, was I guilty? Yes. But was I also set up? Yes. I was guilty of having drugs, but they rated me on a perjured affidavit. So I was set up. They did lie the whole way through court. So it is both things. They end up catching people, who are guilty of some things, but they do it through illegal means. But back to the training, I would think more empathy training would be useful, actually, because if you're a cop, you're not making that much money. There's a ceiling for law enforcement income, and it's very middle class.
Yeah.
So you end up getting a lot of people. The job appeals to people who have dominance issues. Nobody decides, I want to be a cop because I want to make buku bucks. So you've got those people. And also, it needs to get back to community. I mean, there needs to be that community element, the harm reduction thing. Because a lot of what cops deal with are domestic calls. And if you've got some gung-ho dickhead going into a domestic situation, looking to beat up someone, arrest somebody, that's not helping shit. That's just making shit worse.
Well, so that's the thing here. Like I would say at least half of, not prison, but jail at least, like people that just get stopped and thrown in jail are domestic. And, no reason, they might not even have any evidence. They'll just throw them in there for domestic. And then they'll try to convince everyone to like they're not going to try. Like, honestly, what should happen is you should try to solve the domestic issue. So like it doesn't happen anymore, split people up, go counseling, that kind of stuff. But instead of doing that, they want there to be that domestic issue. They want it to blow up. They want the angers to flare. They want people to hate each other. So they testify against each other. And then that's how they win. And it's like that's not good for anybody.
No. The testifying against each other thing is interesting. When I got arrested, when I was a defendant, when I got raided, Katie was at the house. Anybody watching? Katie's my girlfriend. We lived together. They raided the house. They arrested me. I was the only name on the warrant. They didn't fuck with her at all. They let her go. When I made bond, they ended up charging her with all the same crimes as me. I got hit with about 5 charges out of that first one. I had 5 charges and I had $100,000 bond. When I made bond, they hit her with all the same crimes, 5 charges, even though obviously she was no part of it because she was there. And her bond was $2,500. And what they're doing is, and this is actually a really common prosecution tactic, is they just hit her with charges and said they'll go away if you testify against them. She didn't testify against me. She was on the run until after my case was taken care of, and she got a simple felony possession for it. But yeah, that is part of the system. And I knew that they were going to do that to her, because when they raided me, they thought they had me on some good shit. They thought they had me with guns. They didn't have me with any illegal guns, and I knew that. So I knew that when they realized their case was weak, they were going to go after her. And I'm not going to finish this story because I don't know how statutes of limitations work.
Right. Yeah. But did you warn her? She knew about it?
She knew about it. She had a place to go.
Good. Yeah. 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 I've even heard stories of them. Okay. They usually take.
Oh, you can go ahead. I'm just catching up. I haven't read these. We need SLE, LSI, and power or control. I don't think SLE would be good cops as they are now because we don't want to follow rules. For real, I would be a terrible cop.
I think you'd be a good cop.
I mean, I think I'd be a good cop because I'd be a good cop. I'd be a bad. I'd be a bad foot soldier for local municipality.
For whoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I've heard stories of, people in domestic struggles and stuff, and the cops going and lying to the other party saying, oh, we've seen this kind of case before. We're lucky. You're lucky we got there. If you don't testify, he was saying he was going to kill you. If you don't testify, he's going to get out and he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like they make stuff up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's just like dirty. It's like they're trying to twist the person to testify.
First thing, and actually I learned this from I know a girl who's some sort of a police forensic investigator or whatever, but literally the first day of training, they teach cops the separate suspects and say, your buddy over there is telling us everything, and lie to them to try to get on track. Yeah. That's day one training. And they do get mad if you don't testify. I was defendant once. I was a defendant once for an assault. It was a long drunken story at a bar. But like the next day, because they arrested us and separated us at the bar when we were both drunk, and I was mad. I didn't get to fight back. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to press charges. And then I didn't want to. But you have to go to court to drop the charges. And when I went to that that court date, I'm like, no, I don't want to press charges. And the cops were so fucking mad. They're like, oh, another bro fight at the bar. It's like, yeah, what the fuck did you think this was? If you'd just let us fight it out, we wouldn't have been here at all. But you
Well, I mean, I get their perspective, right? They can't really just let people fight it out at the bar.
Yeah, I suppose.
They don't know if it'll get out of control. They don't know who these people are. They don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, I've never been bounced out of a bar, and I've been bounced out of a few places, but that was one of those clubs that's kind of trashy but tries to be classy, and so they got the big stair. I floated out of that motherfucker. He just picked me up like it was nothing and tossed me over the railing to the cops.
Well, I mean, like, I guess the time period we're living in is at least not as bad as, like, say we were in like ancient Rome or something like that, where they could just kill you and just.
No, but shit's getting weird.
What's that?
Shit is getting weird, though.
Yeah.
Look over here. So do you think that SLEs and LSIs could control the bad crimes well?
Depends what a bad crime is.
Just in your opinion, you choose. I think we can all agree what a bad crime is and what it's not a bad crime. A bar fight isn't a bad crime.
Well, honestly, I think any type could be a good cop. But, it depends on the person, depends on their views, depends on how easily they are brainwashed, how.
The thing about being a cop is you forfeit your discretion to the law, and also to the brotherhood. Like it or not, police is a gang. It's a fucking gang. Yeah. They got their colors. They got their little slogans. They got their blue lines. It's a fucking gang. And
they have their hierarchies.
Right. For the same reason I never joined an actual gang is the same, or a fraternity or any other institution that makes you devalue your own autonomy to the group directive is the same reason I would not be a good cop, because I won't do that. And I personally don't believe that anybody ever forfeits I think that you're morally responsible for your decisions no matter what. I don't think you can default to authority and get out of the moral bind.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people try to do is go, oh, I'm just following orders. Oh, I'm just doing what I'm told. Oh, it's just my job. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
You're the one who decided to do what the job was. You defaulted to the job.
That's interesting because I feel the same thing about like people in bureaucracy and stuff. It's just like, okay, you want to go somewhere, you need to get a form and you're missing one paper or something like that. And like the person's just like, you don't have your paper, go away. It's like, dude, there's a human here where it's not all just protocol. Oh, I'm just doing my job. That's what I'm told to do. It's like, well, you know, you could go outside of your job and, you know, help the person in front of you sort of thing.
Yeah. So I think in that aspect, and I think that's pretty typical for SLEs. I don't think that we would make good cops because of that. I do think that we're great in emergency situations, and like
ambulance drivers or firefighters or stuff like that.
Or you know, if there was a policing division that allowed that, you know, allowed me to determine in this situation how to handle it, and I'm not beholden to any hierarchy or gang or whatever. But that's not the way things are.
Yeah, no, yeah. But then like the other thing, okay, so like let's say you go there and you're like, okay, everyone agreed, people calm down, I'll let these guys off, and then one of the guys you let off goes and kills someone, well then you're screwed.
But like you can't nobody can predict the future, and that's
right, exactly.
That is something that comes up a lot. That's why there are registries. That's why I'm a registered drug offender.
Yeah.
Because I'm a threat to society, and nobody wants to be the one that's like, oh, you know what? We didn't register that guy, and now he's killed somebody, because it comes back on them. But it shouldn't, right? Prediction. Yeah. You shouldn't be. No law enforcement or judge or anybody should be held accountable to predict the behavior of somebody.
Yeah.
What they should do is deal with the behavior at hand, and then after that, it's done.
Yeah. It's also like that's the classic Nazi defense too. It's like we were just doing our job. We were just doing what we were told. We were just following orders. Yeah.
Which is what all the contact tracers are doing now. Do you have contact tracing going around there?
I don't even know what that is.
To see who you may have come into contact with that has coronavirus.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So all Apple and all iPhones and all Android phones now have, in the last software update, is the skeleton for contact tracing software, which will track you and monitor who you've come into contact with, and it uses Bluetooth. So get used to turning off your Bluetooth when you're not using it. But that's some straight up draconian shit right there.
Yeah, I think my Bluetooth's off all the time. Let me just check. I don't usually leave it on. Yeah. Oh, it's on for some reason. Yeah, now it's off. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like I've ranted well. You got any other thoughts?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, maybe a takeaway from all this.
Okay. My takeaway for contact tracing would be, if somebody asks you who you've been in contact with, don't answer them, and turn off your Bluetooth when it's not in use. My takeaway for Black Lives Matter would be that the sentiment is valuable, but you have to unravel the sentiment from the institution. The institution is doing harm.
Okay. So no, don't donate to Black Lives Matter is what you're saying?
Absolutely do not donate to Black Lives Matter. If you want to do something,
let's say you are concerned. Yeah, exactly. You are concerned about racism in the U.S. and you want to do something. Where would you donate? What can you do?
So one of the actually the only thing that Flow State supports is the drug alliance policy, the Drug Policy Alliance. And in the description of some of my videos or on my Patreon site, it says,
I think even in my interview, you put a link to that.
Right.
Like when I interviewed you. Yeah.
Right. And Flow State is actually a member of that, and some money does get donated there. Not much, because there's not much coming in, but that is one thing. That's an institution that's not driven by a political party, that is aimed at reducing the harmful impact of substance abuse, including through better policies, better laws, all that stuff. I would strongly recommend anybody who wants to help out, look at that, or get involved
rather than Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, rather than Black Lives Matter, look at the Drug Policy Alliance. I don't really agree with all of the ACLU stuff, but some of it, ACLU does much better with reintegration than a lot of places.
And this is for fighting institutional racism.
Institutional racism, right? Because for a lot of, well, one, because that's really the biggest source of it and the biggest problem, but also because it's something that you can fight. You can address an institution. What you can't do is sniff out and then fight individual
an idea.
racism.
Yeah, you're fighting an idea.
You can't do that. Yeah. And what ends up happening is all the bullshit where, like, I guarantee somebody's going to leave a comment calling me a racist because I don't support the Black Lives Matter institution. That's the sort of bullshit you end up with.
Well, I mean, like, they do have good marketing, right? Black Lives Matter. Like their slogans. No, but I mean, like, that's really what's driving it more, I think. It's like they're catchy, people are supporting them. It's like a trend for people in social media to put like Black Lives Matter on their I don't know, their tags or whatever.
Media is peddling it, and it's set up in such a way. I mean, it's labeled in a way that's like, hey, we're the good guys and we're fighting the bad guys. That's right. Don't like bad guys, do you? Then you like us good guys. It's basic. But it works shockingly well. I'm really kind of embarrassed.
So why doesn't your thing, the place you want people to donate to, why doesn't that have like some slogan? Because I even forgot it right now what you were saying. Like I wouldn't even know where to go.
Because it deals with things on more than a hashtag. You have to pay attention for more than a hashtag.
Yeah, that's a problem. So they need to find some kind of hashtag, something.
They probably do need
Otherwise,
some kind of, also there's the whole political thing because it's a Democratic funded thing.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of Democratic Party money
It's funding the Democrats, so the Democrats are interested in promoting it.
It's being pushed forward a lot more than it's getting its own steam.
Right.
Which is another red flag for me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but like people aren't that in tune with stuff. They just want, quick, easy answers and then be done with it.
That's not how the world works, though. That's not how the world works. And if you can't pay attention long enough past a soundbite, then you don't really give as many shits as you're patting yourself on the back for, which is fine.
Right, but that's most of the people in the world. That's most of the people.
That is most of the people. Not everybody can care about everything all the time. But what doesn't help the discussion is when you got these yuppie, dumbfuck white girls going, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You're racist if you don't agree. But they're not the ones who ain't going to pay attention long enough to understand what the fuck they're chanting about.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like I should name some names right now, but I'm not going to. I've noticed that Canadians are like, Canada is the center of just spacey, yuppie, white stupidity. And they think that everybody likes them. We're so nice. We're Canada. We're not America. We're nice. Hey, everybody likes us, but like it's just stupid as fuck.
Well, if you want to get into an argument over what is better, Canada or the U.S., we'll have it out, you and me.
Oh God, I've never been to Canada though. I don't know that. Have you been to Canada?
I was born in Canada. I was there for like 24 years. Yeah.
Oh shit! I had no idea.
Yeah, there you go.
I had no idea. Well,
yeah, but I got out of that place. Yeah.
You guys have great meals in Europe and stuff.
Thanks. Yeah. There's like this old movie, Canadian Bacon. It's about like how Americans insult Canadian beer, and then they start this whole war between. Yeah, John Candy. Yeah.
He's good.
It's like it gets started because Americans insult Canadian beer, and then there's a whole war.
I think I like Canadian beer. I like Canadian beer.
Beer's beer,
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't drink that much anymore, really.
Yeah. No, I like to have a beer every so often.
I did last night. My cousin got married yesterday, and
oh, nice. Congrats.
Thank you. Katie has a light. I always forget what a low alcohol tolerance Katie has. It's like 2 drinks and she's on the dance floor. So, do you have any takeaways?
Well, I'm just the ignorant person here, right? I'm just learning from.
But I
I'm
don't
not
think
even in
you're
your country.
ignorant as you're playing. I think that you've got a lot better perspective on things. You're just doing that TI lead thing and playing it cautious.
All right. So okay. So takeaway is it does seem like I'm going to get roasted for this, but yeah, it does. From what you're saying, it does seem like Black Lives Matter is just I don't know. It's just a hype sort of thing. And I mean, it's like Black Lives do matter, but so like, I'm not saying Black Lives don't matter. It's just like the organization itself, what you're saying, that you do seem to be onto something. And yeah, it seems like there are better organizations out there that are worse at hashtags that you should be putting your money into.
Yeah. Another thing that I'll just throw out is that the Antifa, Black Lives, the rioters are using the Telegram app to talk to each other. And I'm on it and I watch them just because I'm an observant person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a rabbit hole I want to go down right now. But if that is something that people are interested in hearing about, what they have to say to each other or the sort of stuff that they're promoting or distributing, leave a comment somewhere below and I'll see how much interest is in that. But
I'm sure there's interest in that, man. That's pretty cool. Maybe maybe a Patreon thing.
Maybe a Patreon thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I've started doing actually is, and I don't have enough to actually make the video yet, but since all the riots and all this shit is going on and it's heavy, I've decided to try to have some fun with it. And I've started downloading some of the best and worst SE wins and fails from the riots. And so I've got a handful of clips that when I get some more, I'm gonna make those a little compilation and people can. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me out.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out Ben's channel if you don't already do it.